All right, Lagos. I know it's a little bit behind schedule, but hey, we're still on. We're still on cue. We're still on cue. All right, you're welcome to Smooth Health here on Smooth 98.1. And today we're going to be talking about something that is very important. We're going to be talking about HPV. For some who don't know what HPV is, it is the human papilloma virus. It is one of the most common infections globally, but it is also one of the least talked about, especially here in Nigeria. It's only when there's a drive for it, you hear, oh, that's when you see everywhere. Okay, what's HPV? What's HPV? However, I think maybe, well, I don't want to say I think, somehow I believe it's because it's wrapped in stigma. Some people are confused. There's this um issue around silence. Oh, you cannot say these things outside. But beyond the whispers of what HPV is, I have, I know that, well, first things first, it is usually linked to women. So that's
Yeah.
where you find out, oh, okay, it's not a man's disease. What concerns me? Don't play as you know who will say that. It's not something you want to just sketch around and think it doesn't affect you. Yes, it is linked to cervical cancer in women, but it also leads to cancers in men.
Yeah.
So tonight we're going to be breaking that silence, understanding what HPV really means, how it spreads, the role of vaccination, and while early detection or prevention is key. Joining me to have this conversation, hey, I'm always excited when I have him with me. No, he's not in the studio today. I allowed this one. I allowed this one. So I have with me, joining me virtually, Dr. Tobechi Ozuzu. He is the
Thank you
quality and
so much.
compliance manager at Reddington Multi-Specialist Hospital. Yay! Well, this is
How
officially our
are
first
you?
time doing this, so it's allowed. Sometimes you want to try first. Let's see how it went.
So good to be
Oh
here.
my
Thank
days.
you.
He's had a very interesting day, Lagos, but hey, that's why technology has come to our rescue, and I'm glad for technology and the things that we can get away with.
Yes, yes, so
Anyways, we're talking about HPV, right? I know that
yeah.
I did a little intro in my own little doctorish kind of way. But yes, well, thankfully I have the doctor with me. So let's get to the basics. What
Okay.
I know, well, maybe I wouldn't say because I'm female, I know what HPV is, but
Okay.
for anyone listening, because I'm a female, I know what it is, but I'm not sure all female, well, those in lower class might not understand what HPV is, but what really
Okay.
is HPV and how common is it in Nigeria or even across
The
Africa?
world. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about HPV. So, HPV is known as a human papilloma virus. Reason being, one of the things it does is it causes most of these papilloma genital warts. But the thing about this is there are over 100 strains of
Oh my
HPV. Yes,
word.
over 100. But the problem is that the two ones that are problematic are the strain 16 and strain 18. Those ones are the ones
Eh?
that cause 70 to 80% of the cervical cancers we have. Now, strain 6 and 11 are the ones that are implicated in genital
What?
warts. But 16 and 18, those ones are the precursor. Those ones are the ones that cause cervical cancer. Now, in your lifetime, most women who are sexually active will have HPV. All right? But then,
Whether you like it
when,
or not.
yes, we'll have HPV. That's the thing. But what people don't
Mm.
understand is what causes the cancer is the reinfection of those two particular strains, the 16 and
Ouch.
18. All right. So it comes, it clears. You could have a different strain. This one will clear, not a problem. But when you have a reinfection and reintroduction of those two strains that are stayed there in a consistent manner, that is now what
Right.
now leads to the precursor to the whole cervical cancer thing. You understand? So that's the thing. So, like I said, there are over a
Hmm.
hundred strains. But like I
Right.
said, the two major ones, like you have 16, 18, 33, 45, those ones are implicated in cervical cancer. Then for genital warts, it is 6 and 11. Now, to the question you said earlier, men will definitely feel that, oh no, it doesn't
Hey, no
concern me.
consign me.
But it does. Because
Okay.
HPV has been implicated in anal cancer, penile cancer, and oropharyngeal cancer. All right. So people that practice
Ooh.
sexual acts, even so, the funny thing about HPV is, unlike HIV, whereby you say, "Oh, okay, it
Yeah,
must
you
be the
have
ending of
medication for
seminal."
that. Okay.
Yes,
What?
but this
Uh-huh.
time it's different.
Huh.
Yes, so it's not a joke. It is not a joke. So people need
Ish.
to understand that it is one of the things that, and you won't know. Like I said, there are strains that can just come and go, not a problem. But 18 and
Okay.
16 are where we have the issues.
Someone said Mugbe. See,
Abstinence
what?
is cute.
Well, you can practice safe sex, but that's not what we say. Abstinence is cure, just as the doctor said. But if you can practice safe sex, well, hey, uh, it's better for you. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the questions are now coming in. Anyways, we'll touch on that. So
Okay.
it's better. Thank you for raising that question, Anonymous. I will share. It's part of what we're talking about and why we're raising this conversation
Okay.
because this is Pink Month. October is referred to as
Yeah.
Pink Month.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just about. It's really about cancers. Maybe breast cancer, cervical cancer, and this is why we're talking about it. I know last week we talked about breast cancer, so it's important to talk about the causes. You know what the ailments are, but how does it lead up to what are the causes? These are part of the
Okay.
things you need to get insight on so you know, am I protecting myself? Am I protecting my family members? Do they know?
Sure.
Anyways, talking about HPV, right? And
Yeah.
cervical cancer, how are the two connected, or are there other cancers linked to HPV?
Okay. So let's talk about it now. Like I said, 75 to 85% of all cervical cancers are caused by strain 16 and 18. So how does this happen? Now, there's something you call cell dysplasia. So what those strains do is they go to the cells, especially in the cervix, and tell them to start multiplying. So just keep on multiplying,
Eh?
keep on multiplying, keep on. So normally cells multiply at a steady rate. You understand?
Fast, yeah,
So like
yeah.
yes. So your red blood cells go off every 120 days and all. It's a normal rate. It's a
Continuous
normal rate.
cycle,
It can
yes.
happen. But what happens with HPV is it just goes to those cells in the cervix and
And
says,
attacks them.
keep on multiplying, which is a precursor to the cancer. So it's what you call cell dysplasia. Now, once that is happening, before you know it, start differentiating, and then you now start having your cancer issues. You now start screening. But like I said,
Hmm.
screening is one of in fact, that's one of the things I would want us to talk about.
Okay.
Screening is,
Okay.
especially for sexually active women, it's not
Right.
something you joke with. Pap smear, HPV test. Oh, just don't worry. I'll share.
We'll
But
touch on that. Hey, it's why. See, when I said I picked this topic, someone was like, "Is we're talking about women, women, women?" It's not that we're talking about women. It is because hey, they get reinfected, and the women are not just by themselves. Anyways, let's not digress because that's a whole other topic entirely. And I don't want to derail us from the conversation. But Lagos, let's take a quick breather. I want to get back in. You see those questions you're asking? We'll be touching about that, touching on them. We'll also touch on why it is a stigma, why people are afraid to talk about it, why we need to also there's this drive for the vaccine, but whenever you hear vaccine, some people are like, no,
no.
please don't touch me. We'll talk about that. Let's take a quick breather. When we get back and we'll talk more on what HPV is, why you need to protect yourself, or if you love the people around you, that is. Is smooth health on the drive. Someone was when I put up the post, someone was like, well, I started again. It's only women topic. It's only women topic.
Don't
and
worry,
I had to I said it's not only women topic, you think how things spread. I didn't want to be a little explicit. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's women because you are having different sexual partners, so obviously it's spreading.
Sure.
And you think, oh, okay, because I'm possibly using protection today, I'm safe. But what are the other oral things you are doing?
It's a funny thing, even with the protection you're using. So remember that with the protection, you do not exchange seminal fluids or vaginal fluids and all. Yes, that's for HIV. But you have contacts. So you have pubis to pubis contacts. Even when you're wearing your protection or wearing your condom.
Exactly. It is those little drops.
Exactly.
Those little drops. Your sweat glands.
They don't know.
The only reason why I didn't study medicine is because, hey, I get I probably would have fainted several times. So but you see me and research, I'm like this. Research, I'm always trying to find out new things. And sadly, I don't know, maybe it's because where we are, we overlook our health, where health is concerned, we overlook it until when it is at the
problematic
stage. Then that's when we're like, what can we do? What can we do? You could have done something. Prevention. That's why doctors always say prevention is better than cure. I don't want to kill you. I want to prevent it.
If you ask most women now, 90% of the men, if you ask your audience, how many of them have done a pap smear? They'll say
it's only those on the top higher echelon that will tell you that.
It's not becoming available. Pap smears are now becoming available. Very, very available for everyone. All right. The problem is that most times when people now start having maybe irregular bleedings or maybe they have pain during sex,
that's when they start to find.
Yeah, exactly. And by that time, it's already too late because the cancer has now progressed from cancer in situ to either stage 1 or stage 2. You understand? And then those times, the solution is to remove the uterus. Remove everything.
While I be like, okay, let's get back in before I get caught away in the conversation. All right, Lagos, 35 minutes going to 5. You are tuned in to Smooth Health here on Smooth 98.1 and in Smooth Health today. We're talking about HPV. Have you heard it before? Human papillomavirus? Well, it is the conversation we're having. We're breaking that silence around it. You know, people don't talk about it a lot. You will hear other cancers, but when it comes to cervical cancer or when it even comes to this particular conversation, it's usually skirted around. It's not, and they'll say, it's woman matter. It doesn't concern us. But thankfully, I have Dr. Tobechi Ozuzu with me. He is the Quality and Compliance Manager at Reddington Multi-Specialist Hospital. He's been giving great insights why it's important. I already see some of your questions. Someone is already asking, is this a normal flora too? I mean HPV. So please answer that one before we go further into the questions.
It is not. It is not. It is not. In as much as you will have, most people will have HPV at one point in time. It is not. Right. It is always advisable. That's why the whole thing is, first of all, abstinence is key. Let's do that. But do your test. Do your pap smear. Do your HPV test. It cannot be overemphasized.
Right. I was going to, you see that thing that they say, you know, they show for face. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. You never can tell where if a person is fine just by looking at. Yes, some
So,
people will have telltale signs, but that's not enough.
yeah,
A person
it's
could be
actually
glowing and you
yeah,
would
it's
not
actually
know
symptomless. Most cases, 50% of the cases are symptomless. You don't know.
until
You don't know. It's
until it becomes
until like I said, when you start, maybe let's say for example, your period starts altering, or you start noticing that you're bleeding beyond when you should bleed, or maybe you start having pain while having sex, or a couple of other things. That's when you now go to the hospital. That's when they now tell you to go and do a test. That's when you now see that okay, oh, they may be fine on the
scary.
mountain. You
Scary.
understand? So that's the thing. That's
You
why
never,
it's okay. The advocacy is testing and then vaccine for um our young girls.
but how can we even, because of the stigma of talking about certain things.
Yeah,
I was having a conversation with someone recently, and he said
okay.
we skirt around sexuality in itself in
Yeah,
Africa. In some parts of Africa, they're more vocal when it comes to sexuality. They're teaching
yeah,
people that this is something that you shouldn't be afraid of. Embrace
yeah,
your sexuality, but know how to be protected. So, because it is such, it is the same as sort of a taboo to
yeah.
talk about sexual matters. How then do we change that? I think, yes, we're using the radio as a medium, but what other things can be done?
Okay, so I know I most times when I bring this up when I discuss with people, they tend to tell me I have radical views about it. I told them, see, if you have some form of sexual education in school, all right, let this young adult voice out their because the truth
No.
of the matter is this: most of the time, when you ask someone about your first sexual experience, you realize that they are either taking advantage of, or they didn't know what they were doing, or they were whatever the case may be. So there's that
Right.
knowledge gap that exists. First of all, parents will not want to, they find it awkward talking about sex.
Hmm.
You understand? They find it awkward sharing information about sex. Two, religious houses or schools or whatever do not do that. So young adults are in a vacuum. Nobody is
And
there
they're
to
learning
train
from
them.
places they shouldn't be
Nobody,
learning it from.
again, exactly. They're learning from porn sites, they're learning from rubbish places, they're learning from people who have no morals. And they feel it is the norm. And that's the
No.
problem. Someone will look at it and say, oh no, I can afford to sleep with this so and so number of people. Nothing will happen. No, AIDS is not real. I've
Hmm.
had a conversation, someone said HIV is not real or this. I'm like, okay. And that's the notion.
Hmm.
So as a community, we need to embrace this and let people be able to express themselves.
Right.
80% of people would not be engaging in sexual acts if they understood what the ramifications would be, what you
Right.
could pose, what the risks would be. You understand? But by the time they get into their late 20s or early 30s, that's when they start bearing the consequences of their inactions.
That's even the scariest part of it all. Okay. Let's even talk about vaccines. How does it work, and what's the best age to take it? Because one of the listeners is asking, how do we protect our daughters? I'm scared.
So the good thing about it is the country has realized that early vaccination. So first of all, initially they didn't understand how huge the scourge of HPV stroke cervical cancer was, but they realized it, and now they've inculcated it into the national vaccination program, so which is a
Also,
good thing. So
also,
now for the vaccine, the target group are kids between 14, and 15 who
okay.
are not. Now, this gives you protection to at
Hmm.
least cover most of them. Now, that does still not mean that when you get to a sexually mature age or when you're
Hmm.
sexually active, you shouldn't do your
Hmm.
PAP smear. But what studies have shown is that
Mm.
with the number of people who have been vaccinated, the population involved has had a drastic reduction in cases of cervical cancer. All right. So vaccination is key. Our young
Right.
girls between the ages of 9, 10. There's even a drive that the federal government did. I think that was a couple of months back, where
Right.
they were giving free vaccines. Because what they realized is if you can vaccinate the girl child, you
Right.
are you are preventing this from occurring in the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Whew. So in case your kid comes home and they're telling them in school, oh, uh, um, they're having free vaccinations, do not, the highest thing you can do is ask what kind of vaccines. Don't
True.
don't just shut it down and say, oh, my kid is not a promiscuous child. There's no, I don't know how we get those notions and what leads to such statements. How do we, anyways, I'm just trying to wrap my head around certain conversations I have heard, and hopefully, parents listening, guardians listening, will take the needed uh, needed steps to protect their wards, especially the girl child.
Yeah.
For an adult who's listening now and who unfortunately couldn't get the vaccines whilst they were younger, what are the things that they need to do? What are the things they even need to know?
Okay. So for me, I always tell people, let's look at, you're an adult, you're already sexually active, and you can't get the vaccine. Okay. So the question now is, yeah, you have some vaccines available that are available for adults. Let's leave that
Okay.
aside. All right, let's leave
Right,
that aside.
right,
But the
right.
question now is, have you done a pap smear?
Do they even know what a pap smear is?
Exactly. So basically, a pap smear involves taking a sample of your cervix. The
Right.
person, doctor goes in, it's a antiseptic procedure, takes a sample and then
Mm,
looks at it through the microscope to
mm,
determine if there are cell growths and all. Now, a pap
okay.
smear is done for a young adult between the ages of 21 to 30. You should be doing it at least once in 2 to 3 years.
Right.
All right. Once in 2 to 3 years, that's that. Now, if you're above 30, it's advised for you to combine it with what you call a HPV test. So you do a
Mm,
pap smear, do a HPV test. So from 30 above, you combine both. Now, this is it. If you test positive for
for
HPV, it does not mean you
it's a
have.
death sentence.
Yes, it doesn't even mean is most times. Remember, I told you that you have different strains. Remember,
Right,
all the
right.
discussed, yes, you have different strains. So what you now
Mm,
have to do is what you call a colposcopy, where they'll have to go to your cervix and look at it thoroughly and check to see if there's anything. Remember, I told you you can have a HPV strain. It can be the normal
and
one. You can still
nothing.
not even have
Yeah.
anything. You understand? It's not a problem. That's where the doctor will now tell you, okay, we've seen this, not a problem. But let's do a colposcopy and check and just
Okay.
be sure. All right. Now it's after that, whatever the outcome, they will now let you know.
Mm, okay. Okay. Uh, so for those who are listening now, because we're almost out of time. See, I always feel like smooth health is never the time. Allah says never enough. But hey, I'm not greedy. I'll take what I have. Before I let you go though, apart from the vaccines, what are the steps should people take? And I'm not talking about just women. I'm talking about both men and women, so that they can lower the risk of HPV or any other related cancers. And I know that there are families listening now. So what
Yeah.
are the things they need to know?
As much as we discussed that abstinence is difficult, okay, but one of the key things to do is the one man, one partner thing. I advise a simple and short because the truth of the matter is this: the odds of you, if you
That's
or your partner is not promiscuous, the odds of you getting HPV is minimal. But where the problem comes in is if your partner is promiscuous, or if you've had
mhm,
interactions with more than such and so number of men or women, that's where you now have the risk of getting this. I remember
mm,
what I discussed with you, that it is not the HPV that is the thing, it's the continuous reintroduction of those two strains. So imagine someone who is promiscuous and goes around and keeps on getting these two strains
deposits.
introduced.
Hmm.
Exactly. So that's what you have. So for me, first thing is first. If we can nip it in the bud with the vaccination of our kids,
Right.
fine. That's a good one. Two, the adults who are active, okay, you do your pap smear, keep on, it's okay and it's nice and you're negative. then you stick with one partner. Whether you're a guy or a girl, stick with one partner. That will go a long way in shelving the issues we have.
You know what? I can't wait for December to come around. Well, we need to talk about AIDS, but we'll leave it till then. But how easy is it to get screened? Is it I think that's another thing we really need to touch on before we go. How easy is it to get screened?
Yeah, it's actually quite easy. Most hospitals currently now are running discounts on pap smears.
Okay.
The vaccines are free, I think. Most federal organizations have the vaccines free for the kids. They're advocating for people to do that. But for adults, the pap smears, I think for private hospitals, I think it's a bit expensive. It's not that expensive. But for federal hospitals that offer it, it's very, very cheap. For me, what I would say is the cost shouldn't really be a problem when you have, it gives you the peace of mind for a good period of time. You understand? So for me, that's the key. It is, like I said, people will tell you, oh, it's not available. Most hospitals, once you tell them you want to do a pap smear, they will let you do it.
Okay.
All right, they will offer the services to you.
All right. Thank you so much for all that insight. However, for those listening now, I'm wondering how they can get across to you, get more insights. Maybe they are shy right now. We don't want to put all our naughty things we're doing out there. But we want to also get insights from the doctor. How can they reach out to you? Your social media handle.
Okay, so they can reach out to me on Instagram. It's Toby Ozuzu, TOBYOZUZU. Okay. Toby Ozuzu on Instagram. Then on LinkedIn, you just write Tobechi Ozuzu. So I'm more on Instagram and LinkedIn. So anytime, any questions, feel free to come around. I will definitely answer.
And Lagos, that's how we draw a curtain on Smooth Health today. I'm sure you've learned a thing or two, especially for the men that think it is only for women. No, not to worry. We'll talk more. Well, don't worry. I'll try and psych Dr. Ozuzu so that we'll figure out, streamline topics for you men.
For me, yeah, don't worry. We have plenty. We have plenty. We have a lot.
All right. That's how we draw a curtain today on Smooth Health. As you know, you don't want to move a muscle. Stay glued to your radio. Smooth 98.1. Yeah, that was actually an awesome conversation.
Thank you.
Always. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Don't worry. We'll definitely look for a condition that is male driven. I think we'll probably talk about prostrates, since it is. We're talking about prostrate, since it's something that it is. You understand?
They won't say it's only women conversation we're having.
They won't say it's only. And it's also something men do not take care of. Because if you ask them, when was the last time you checked your PSA? They'll be looking at you as what is PSA. It's something we can talk about. Don't worry.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
I will. You too.